Start in about 4 minutes.
So we'll start. Hey, yes, I can hear you. We're being told it's starting right at 6, so this will probably be
Five.
sorry, right at 5.
Is anybody going live at 5? Maybe do a live shot?
They'll end our shot if it starts on time. Is it starting on time?
Supposed to, should, but
It should.
there's no reason for delay right now.
It's supposed to start on time. So I just. But I'll be right.
Mic check 1 2 3. Mic check 1 2 3. Mic check 1 2 3.
We are already live on 6 class.
Yeah, they should have got it. Yeah.
It's up to y'all. You don't want it exactly at 5, or you want like 5 or 6, 5 or 3. We'll work best.
You not good at 5?
Yeah.
they say you can scramble, you guys can scramble. Thank you. I apologize for this being last minute, but I do truly appreciate everybody rushing over here to get this. We weren't anticipating this to be released today, so as much of a surprise to me as it is to you, we were excited, but anyway, let me move on. It's been 4 months since we last provided an update on the investigation into the disappearance of Noel Rodriguez-Alvarez. This week marks a year that Noel was last seen alive. Just a couple of hours ago, a Tarrant County grand jury has indicted Cindy Rodriguez-Singh on felony charges including capital murder, 2 counts of injury to a child, and 1 count of abandoning without the intent to return. I'm so incredibly thankful to the Tarrant County District Attorney's Office and the DA Investigator's Office for their support and work on this case. These indictments will significantly support our effort to apprehend and extradite Cindy back to the United States. Teams are already working with the U.S. Marshal's Office on that effort. Over the past 6 months, our investigative teams have worked relentlessly on this case. They have been truly dedicated in the searches for Noel and justice. I could not be more proud of the work that this team has put into this case, and I am incredibly thankful for all of it. Since our last update, investigators have continued to work tirelessly, including additional ground searches and tracking down new leads. It is essential to understand that our goal right now is to seek justice for Noel, and for that reason, I'm only able to share limited information above and beyond what has already been shared. Although this is a tremendous milestone for the justice in this case, make no mistake that our work is not done. We will continue to work towards justice, and we will continue to search for Noel. I'm going to turn the podium over real quick to the mayor for the city of Everman, Mayor Ray Richardson, to share a few words with you, and then I'm going to come back and answer any questions that you might have.
Hello. First of all, I'd like to personally thank the detectives of the Everman Police Department and all the outside agencies that came to assist us during our time of need. 2023 has been a difficult year for the city of Everman. Not a day goes by that someone doesn't ask about Noel or the missing little boy from Everman. No child should ever have to go through the abuse and neglect that Noel went through. Now that the murder warrant has been issued, we will hopefully be able to get the answers to many unanswered questions that surround this case. The goal is and always has been to locate Noel and give him the justice that he deserves. Sometimes when bad things happen, good things come out of it. Sometime over the next few weeks, the city of Everman will be dedicating an all-inclusive playground that is designed for children with special needs, such as Noel. The playground will be named the Noel Angel Alvarez Playground. This playground will keep Noel's memory alive in the citizens' minds and hearts for many years to come. Obviously, we would prefer that Noel was still here, being a little boy and going to school, but unfortunately, the reality is that Noel may never be found. So whether you knew Noel or not, he will be missed and loved by a community that could never understand how this could have happened to an innocent child named Noel.
So I know this case is important to everybody. It's certainly important to our community. So I'm going to take my time answering questions. And you may have quite a few, so we'll take our time. And I know it's been a while since we've updated, so you may have to backtrack. So we'll take our time and go. Go ahead, Dave.
Ricky, can you talk about what additional evidence was told to the grand jury that maybe we were not privy to? Because throughout this process, it seems like there was a lot of stuff that you're hoping for that you may not have gotten, as far as what the cadaver dogs may have hit on, may not have hit on. What additional information were they presented that maybe has not been released up to this point?
So when this case was presented to the grand jury, it was indicted in what's called a manner and means unknown to the grand jury. That's what they indicted on. And when you indict on that, essentially what we have to prove is we may not have a body. Well, we don't have a body, right? But we have to prove a reasonable effort in identifying any and all other circumstances or potential outcomes for this boy. And our investigative team, the combination investigative team between all the other municipalities, the DA's office, that's what they've been working on tirelessly for the last 6 months, is trying to identify any other potential outcomes for this child, all of which have been ruled out, leaving us down to one simple conclusion that he was murdered.
You said previously that there were additional search warrants. Did anything come out of it that you could share?
What I can tell you is there have been some new leads. There's been several new leads over the last several months that investigators have been following up on. but none of those have led us to anything significant in the case.
And then when you, have said that it's possible you would never find out.
Yes.
What do you believe that you couldn't find out?
Well, we're certainly not going to give up, so let me be clear on that. Our efforts are not stopping on searching for him. Every new tip or lead that comes in, we will follow up on it. We will continue to search. But the reality is that there are times in our situations where we may not never find the body. And that doesn't preclude us from law enforcement. That doesn't preclude the DA's office from being able to push this case forward and get a murder conviction on that case. But that's the reality of this case. Is we have put forth a great amount of effort in trying to locate him to no avail at this point. But our efforts not stopping. Obviously, with this, our hope is that we're going to be able to work with the federal partners, and they'll be able to work with international partners on getting her apprehended and brought back. And we'll get more answers to those questions because we still have unanswered questions. So hopefully, when we get her brought back, we'll be able to find out those answers.
So is there any update on the stepfather?
No, not as of right now. No updates.
A year ago, I know they were coming back and fire.
Yes.
This, talk about, there's, the rate
Yeah, so obviously in the beginning, we were getting a bunch of tips. And as with any big case, especially one that gains national news, right, we've got to circle through all those and find out which ones have any validity and find out, what may prove to be beneficial to the case. We've had teams that were allocated to combing through those, many of which were not proven to be helpful at all in the case, but there were quite a few that came through that were helpful. That's obviously what led us to making the contact and learning about the parent who had the other child that she asked to borrow, right? I mean, all those things came from tips. Obviously, in the beginning of the case, we had a lot of activity with tips. As the time went on, most of those tips have come in, and obviously the activity has trickled down since. So we're not getting many of those tips right now from the public. Certainly, we still push. If anybody knows anything, anybody has any further information, we want that information. We still want you to call. Just because we have an indictment on the table now doesn't mean that our investigation has to stop. We will continue to work this case as best as we can.
Have they been located as to where they're at, when you were just waiting on the indictments for expedited, or what is the status?
Yeah, so I can't comment on what the federal partners and exactly how they operate and their methods. So I don't know what all they've been able to achieve as far as locating. I do know that we are working with the best of the best in the business, and we are trusting them to do what they do best. And we're focusing on what we do best, and that's investigating a crime and pushing it forward to the DA's office.
So just to clarify, would that be Homeland Security that would be in charge of eventually getting them apprehended?
So it's going to be there will be a federal partnership with several different agencies, including Homeland Security, FBI, U.S. Marshals. I mean, there will be a whole front on this when you're talking about intergovernmental relations. But as to specifics of who's going to be doing what throughout the phase, I just don't know the answer to that.
And I know, as answering her question, you were saying there's no updates right now on the father, but can you maybe explain why no charges to the father if this was more so a process of elimination of what did not happen?
Yeah, so I mean, go back and remember the facts of the case and what we've got. We've got a mother who witnesses have claimed or that they've seen her beat him with keys. She's refused to give him water. She refused to change his diapers. She's got a history of neglect and abuse of this child. All of that obviously contributes to it. We weren't able to make necessary connections with Archie, but that didn't preclude us from making the connection to the Cindy. So we're pushing forward on that front.
Have you rolled out any charges down the line for our students?
Oh, absolutely not. No, yeah, absolutely not. If more information comes to light that he has any involvement in this, we will absolutely push to charge him as well.
How is this you visiting those who have no without your
Well, yeah, I was going to say it's not just me. I mean, there's a whole team. I'm the face of this, but there's really a whole team behind me that's doing all of the work, and it's been extremely emotional. Today is emotional for many of us. I mean, this is a rewarding part of the investigation where we feel like our work in this effort is finally paying off, and we're able to find some justice for Noel and push towards that finish line. But at the same time, it also confirms our biggest fear, right? And so we've got a whole mix of emotions, all of us. So we were very glad and very thankful to the DA's office today for being able to take this and succeed with this. But at the same time, it is emotional because it confirms our belief. We've obviously had our belief as investigators, but now we've had other people. We've had the citizens of Tarrant County look at this and confirm they agree with us, exactly what our thoughts are. So it is emotional for us.
Actually, you said on the wall that you believe that this is part of the proposal was bringing Cindy and Archie back to the question. And so, do you believe this charge will help bring them home faster? How confident are you that they will be able to do it?
Yeah, no, I firmly believe that this will help that process of getting them apprehended and brought back. If you recall that the only previous warrants that we had that were felony warrants were the abandoning and endangering a child, and now we've got 4 indictments. There's a difference between issuing a warrant and issuing an indictment. Obviously, when we issue an indictment, not only are we saying that the police believe this, but also the Tarrant County DA believes this, and now citizens believe that there's enough evidence to charge them with it. So you're really bringing a multitude of factors to the table to warrant them making that arrest and ultimately turning him over to us. So it certainly does help us in that front. It adds additional charges on top of what was already existing. And we do look forward to the apprehension of her. I can't wait till they get her and bring her back. And I am very hopeful. I have the utmost confidence in our federal partners and their ability to do what they do best with capturing her and getting her back to us.
And you had mentioned from when this first happened back in March, when you found out that he had been deceased since October, and it wasn't until March that you were alerted to this. And your hope was always that he was alive up until pretty much you had exhausted everything else. So to get that confirmation of that indictment of the murder charge, how does that feel? Just because you were very difficult.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've had tears in my eyes since I got the call earlier today. It truly is emotional to get that confirmation. We all believed it, we all knew it, but I think every single one of us has had, and to be honest, still has a glimmer of hope. I would love nothing more than to be wrong in this case. The last thing I want is to have a 6-year-old boy die at the hands of his mother. I mean, that's not what I want, but that's the facts that we're faced here with, and that's what we're looking at. And it's our job to bring that to justice, and that's what we're going to push to do. So it is extremely emotional. From the get-go, I have always been optimistic in hopes that we can find him and find a decent resolution of this. And frankly, didn't want to believe the worst-case scenario. But as the investigation went on and more came up front about her, how she treated this boy, and all the sad things that Noel had to endure in his life, it just continues to solidify our belief that he's dead and that she murdered him. There's no doubt in my mind.
Can you tell us those 4 indictments again?
Yes. So, capital murder, 2 counts of injury to a child, and 1 count of abandoning without the intent to return.
So this was a year ago?
Yes. So
And was there
if
new evidence?
if you recall, we initially got the welfare check in March of this year. That was the initiating point for this investigation, was when we conducted the welfare check and determined that Cindy had fled the country without Noel. We issued an Amber Alert, went through that entire process. As we continued the investigation, the timeline kept getting pushed back on when we could last verify that he was alive. And as of now, and as of the course of the investigation, the last point we were able to verify he was alive was the last week of October, shortly after the twins were born.
And was there some sort of evidence that you got in the last month or so that you were was sort of the final piece that maybe taken to the DA, or how difficult has it been to get the amount of evidence for, lack of for the DA to take to the grand jury?
Well, so trying to prove a murder case without a body for anybody is extremely difficult, right? And that's what we've had to do here, is to try to push that case forward without a body. But we've been able to do that. I think that, without going into detail, because I have to be very careful. Again, our goal, our community's goal, the citizens' goal here is to seek justice for Noel, so I got to be careful that I'm not harming the integrity of the investigation. I can tell you that there has been additional supporting evidence that has come up, but just nothing that I can release at this point. But I think the facts are out there, and I think we've shared plenty of that before to support this effort and where we've taken it.
And yes, certainly there has been precedent of being convicted without body.
Yeah.
Did you, and I can probably answer it, but I'll ask it. I mean, did you find evidence of a crime that helps support your theory hypothesis?
So let me let's go back and, because it's been so long, let's go back and just cover, I've got a fact sheet here. Let's just go back and cover some of the publicly known facts that help draw us to this conclusion. First off, Noel was never enrolled in school, although he tested and qualified for early entry and even therapy. According to family members, Noel was reportedly abused and neglected regularly. Food and water were often withheld because Cindy did not like changing his diapers. Cindy reportedly struck Noel in the face with keys for drinking water. Cindy reportedly referred to Noel as evil, possessed, or having a demon in him. Noel began missing doctor's appointments after July of 2022. Cindy asked to borrow a child from an acquaintance for a doctor's appointment. At Noel's last sighting, he was described as appearing unhealthy and malnourished. Cindy told family members different stories about the whereabouts of Noel, including the fact that she sold him to a lady in a Fiesta Mart parking lot. Biological father nor the aunt in Mexico have ever even met Noel. No data to support any trips even remotely close to the border, and no data to support that Noel was sold, especially at a Fiesta Mart. Cindy told family members to lie to police about seeing Noel recently. Family lived in squalor, however, chose to spend nearly their entire tax return on a newly constructed patio for a home in which they do not even own. According to the contractor, she was in a hurry, was indecisive, and even requested the patio to be thicker in a certain area. Arshdeep disposed of a single indoor-outdoor carpet in a dumpster the night before leaving the country, however, leaves the remainder of the squalor and trash behind in the home, shed, and backyard. Multiple human remains detection canines alerted to both the rug as well as underneath the concrete patio. Arshdeep steals $10,000 from his employer just hours before fleeing the country. Electronic visas were obtained on March 21st, one day after the welfare check. And the family quickly absconds the country on one-way flights almost immediately after CPS and police begin to question the whereabouts of Noel. And that's just the facts that we've released publicly previously. So I think when you consider just those facts and not any additional evidence, we're all coming to the same conclusion. Any and all evidence following that just further supports our theory.
At this point in the investigation, is there anything that they do to someone else who's involved beyond to or cooperate?
So, I mean, there's still questions about the manner and the means, right? And that's our hope, is that we can capture her, get her brought back here, and hopefully find the answers to those questions. And we will certainly seek charges to anybody that cooperates. Outside of Arshdeep, no, we haven't had any other evidence or theories to support that anybody was helping her with this.
Are there any other additional charges she could face to the other children with, I mean, she is the primary, she is the sole custody, but they also have a lot of experience in it, so she gets any other charges?
She could, most of which will be misdemeanor. Most of them will also be civil. So that really hasn't been the focal point of our investigation. The focal point's obviously been Noel and what's happening to him. However, what I will tell you is something that we've discussed throughout the entirety of this investigation is, obviously if Noel's been hurt, have any of the other kids been hurt? We haven't had an opportunity to visit with them, right? Because they're in India with her. So that's certainly something that we're prepared to try to do if we're able to get those children brought back with her, is to find out, their lifestyles and ask them questions and go from there. And of course, if any other charges are revealed, we'll be happy to pursue charges on.
So you believe that they are still?
At this point, I have no reason to believe they've gone anywhere else.
Are there any photos or sightings of them? Last week, under this on the airport, have there been any sightings?
Not that I'm aware of. We're relying on the Marshal Service to work that for us, and they're going to keep their resources and probably their information. They'll let us know when they happen.
You said you continue physically searching, you're not imagining how much area going publicly searching?
Not exactly, but probably close to another 100 acres ground searches. I would guess. That's a guess. There's been several small areas that we had some leads on that he may have been in. We looked at those, didn't find any supporting evidence, and then we had one large area that we searched. It didn't reveal anything either.
Has the searches been just in Everman or expanded to Forestville?
Primarily Greater Everman, so Everman, some of the unincorporated areas. Nothing. I don't think we haven't had any searches in Forest Hill, but immediately surrounding Everman, those areas.
Has who they were living with has continued to cooperate, or is he just kind of pretty much out of the investigation?
Yeah, he's cooperated to the most that we've been able to deal with him on. I mean, not much more he can tell us.
Is that we can discuss people's awareness of what's going on?
Without it compromising the integrity of the investigation, I don't want to go into exactly what he shared with us. But I can tell you that he has been very cooperative with the police and investigators. Any other questions? All right, well, I certainly appreciate everything. I really do. Again, if you guys have any other questions, we probably won't be scheduling any follow-ups unless we have a major development in this case. So feel free to reach out to me if you have any follow-up questions after this. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.